Thank you for joining me today. Following this webinar, users will be able to understand what sheets are, know the different sheet types, where to access the sheet, edit the properties of a sheet, edit the fields of a sheet, and use the tool buttons. Sheets are templates of layouts, patient forms, labels, letters, slips, prescriptions, payment plans, medical history, and other commonly used forms that have input and output information that is built into the Open Dental program. These can be customized to fit the needs of the practice. Sheets can be used for both internal records keeping and for sending and receiving information electronically. Using the sheets in Open Dental can significantly lighten the practice's paper load. It is important to note the sheet type. The type of sheet will determine what options are available within that sheet, as well as where it is accessed from within the Open Dental program. Patient forms and medical history forms, for example, can be filled out online to later be imported into the Open Dental program, or can be added onto the patient to fill out when they arrive. Each individual patient's form can be found in the Forms button at the top of the program. They can be added from here, or a link can be generated creating what's called a web form that can be posted on your website for your patient to click on the Forms button and fill out the form for your front desk to later retrieve into the individual patient's Forms button. Once the forms are inside the patient's Forms button, your front desk will be able to select the form and click on Import. From here, you can see the information that was not in our system previously, and we can see that that information can be imported into the program. Either leave the boxes checked with the Do Import X and click Import, or choose if you don't want certain things imported into your program by removing the X in the Do Import column before clicking the Import button. Clicking on Import will then put the information into the areas of the program that it's able to. Another example is the medical history information can also be imported. And you'll see that that information goes into the locations in the program where it's needed. You can also see that I now have the address and telephone number, as well as email information for my patient. Letters, up at the top of the program, can be used to generate a patient letter of any kind with the currently selected patient's specific information pre-populated. Labels can be generated to print for the individual patient letters. The consent form can be used in an operatory setting, permitting your patients to sign forms chairside. This button can be found in the chart module as well as inside of the treatment plan module. Exam sheets or screenings can be used for questionnaires or to quickly fill out cancer screenings. Any forms or exams are stored in the patient's chart module in the Progress Notes section, so you can see what forms and information you have for that patient. Prescriptions can be customized to meet the requirements of your state. The one for Oregon would look similar to this. Labs and referral slips can be customized with the background image of that lab or provider's paper slip for use within the Open Dental program electronically. As an example, in my lab cases, the default lab in the system, when generating a new lab, will show the default slip for Open Dental. However, I've taken the paper slip for a lab that we use often and converted that into a background image for our dental lab here. Choosing my options from inside the lab case and generating a new slip, you can see that I have customized it with their logo, as well as the ability to click on specific teeth to indicate so that I can then type out instructions. Treatment plans can also be customized. to rearrange the layout and wording to better suit your practice. You can also customize payment plans for printing out the financial agreements and how the layout is customized there. Other layouts that are not paper include the chart module layout and patient dashboard. The chart module layout can be found in the Layouts button, and I've customized an option to just see notes. We'll set that back to my standard chart layout. And you'll see over on the right-hand side, I also have a patient dashboard that will follow me throughout the program. The patient dashboard can be customized to suit what you'd like to see over on the right-hand side of your screen and can be turned on by going to Tools and down to Patient Dashboards. For first-time customization, go to Tools, Patient Dashboards, and the Dashboard Setup window. Please reference the link below this video for the webinar Sheet Types for more detail. Now we'll go into editing the properties, fields, and tool buttons to customize a sheet. Following a detailed explanation of the Sheet Definitions window, we will customize a consent form. We'll start by going to the main menu, Setup, and down to Sheets. The far left-hand corner is your sheet type filter. This will allow you to see your internal defaults as well as your custom forms for that specific sheet type. If you want to go back to seeing all sheet types, simply hold down the Control key and left-click on the sheet type that you currently have selected to bring back all sheet types. The Default button in the lower left-hand corner will allow you to choose the defaults for statements, prescriptions, chart layouts, and treatment plans. The Tools button allows you to import and export. These buttons can be helpful for offices with multiple locations. An office might choose to customize a sheet for export from Site A and import that sheet at Site B. This feature can also be used when dental colleagues, solely using the Open Dental program, are willing to exchange and share forms. Please note, for an XML file to import correctly, the format must match the specific sheet requirements. Only XML files exported from Open Dental sheets will work. The Copy button in the center is for our internal sheet templates that are built into the program. Sheets are used for layouts, consents, deposit slips, exam sheets, labels, lab slips, medical history, patient forms, letters, payment plans and referral slips, routing slips, prescriptions, screenings, statements, and treatment plans. The internal templates are examples and cannot be edited. To customize a template, highlight the template from the left-hand side, and then simply click on the Copy button to move it over to the right-hand side. You can then double-click to open it. From here, we can double-click and customize that sheet. The New button allows the user to customize all the details of a blank sheet. When doing so, you'd enter the description for the sheet and select the sheet type from the list. Be very careful to choose the correct sheet, as this cannot be changed later. Choose whether the sheet will bypass the global lock date, typically used for exam sheets. Choose the default font and the text size, and then choose the width and height of your page. 850 by 1100 is an example of the width and height of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Choose the orientation for your sheet to print, and choose whether or not this sheet will use mobile layout for use with web forms and patients being able to fill out the forms using their electronic device. Click OK to begin designing your document. Duplicate will create a copy of a previously customized sheet. It will appear in the custom list in sequential order. This can help keep uniformity throughout your sheets. You'll double-click on the new entry to make necessary changes. The Close button will close the Sheets Definitions window and allow you back into the main Open Dental program. Before using a sheet for your patient, verify that it contains information relevant to your practice. Double-click to view any sheet in the Custom section. You'll start by choosing one of three options: selecting a consent form from the internal section and copying it over, selecting an existing consent form from the Custom section and duplicating it, or selecting the New button to start with a blank template. For this webinar, we will choose the option 2 with the consent form that we duplicated just a minute ago. Now we'll double-click into the sheet to preview the layout. Each element can be changed to your specifications. The sheet layout displayed on screen will match what is printed and shows all fields and images currently on the sheet and their location on the page. Sheets can be a combination of scanned or imported background images, static images, text, output text, input fields, lines, rectangles, checkboxes, and radio buttons, digital signature boxes, and on some cases, combo boxes, patient images, grids, and special. All sheet types will have different options. In the upper right-hand corner of the screen is the Edit panel. The Edit panel includes the sheet properties, sheet field types, languages, pages, fields list, formatting tools, and tips. We'll start by clicking the Edit Properties button. We'll change the description of our sheet. And we'll click OK to make that change. You'll see how it's updated the title of my sheet. I can now double-click into my heading, and we'll change that to match. The sheet field types over here on the right, the 10 buttons displayed will be discussed in details in the Sheets 2 Sheets Customization webinar. Please see the link for that video below this video. The Sheets field panel lists all fields and images currently on the sheet and coincides with the Sheets field layout. To begin the sheet design, highlight the element you wish to change, either from the sheet field or simply by clicking on the box. You can single-click on specific elements or hold down Control on your keyboard to select more than one option. Now that they're highlighted in red, simply click and drag your box to where you'd like it on your sheet. You can also use your arrow keys on the keyboard to move it in small increments, or hold down the Shift key in order for the keyboard arrows to move it in larger increments. To edit a field, simply double-click on it. We'll change this to a miscellaneous field, which we can then use to do reportable information, or we can even change the name for our mobile caption on the right so that our patient knows what information needs to be entered here. Double-clicking in the next field to change it to the correct information. We're going to change the body of the document to replace the existing text with new text relevant to the nitrous sedation. Just double-click into the static field. If you have a saved document with text that you already like, simply copy and paste the content of the existing document into the sheet. I have one that the practice has already been using. You'll notice that I don't have additional checkbox information, and I'm not asking the patient to initial at each section. I just have a signature box down at the bottom. Keep in mind, if you're copying text where you want the patient to initial at each spot, you will need to do this a different way. It's better to remove the areas throughout the sheet for your patient to initial and just put a signature section at the bottom. We'll copy just the text since I already have a signature line on the sheet already. Select my text and remove it, and paste the text. I can then edit my text font still, the text size, bold it or color it, and alignment or behaviors in text size. For this, I'm going to change the width so that it's almost the entire width of the page, and change the height of the text to make sure that it's going to include all of the text on the page. We'll click OK, and that will increase the size of our text box. We can also add in an image onto our document with the logo. To do this, I'll click on the static image, either import an image or use one that's already been imported at my clinic in the past. You can then choose the X and Y coordinates and change the size. Click OK. You'll notice that I can't click and drag images by clicking on them from the top. You will need to choose your fields list, double click, and put in your X and Y, as well as changing the size. This can take a little bit to play around with, but it is fun and it is easy. The formatting tools down in the lower right-hand corner, we can use them with our auto snap if we want to move that image to line it up with the text of our sheet. Set up auto snap is as easy as clicking on the button and choosing a value. In this case, we'll start with 10 and click OK. I can then take the image, select it from my field, and use my arrow keys to move it in small increments, or hold down Shift and then our arrow keys to move it in a larger increment. To remove auto snap, simply click on this Set Up Auto Snap button again and set it back to 0. I also need to move my signature boxes. Once again, select them from the list and either use the keyboard or use your mouse and move them down. We can use the Align Left button if we want to align it with our text box. We'll simply select the text box and our signature lines and use our left alignment to make sure that they're all lined up. To show you an example of this, we'll move our signature box far to the middle, select our text, and we'll align it to the left. You can see that this aligns it perfectly with my text box. You can also use this for aligning to the center, and you can use it for aligning right. The Copy Paste button, this button will copy and paste the selected element. I'll select the first and last name and click Copy. You'll notice in the program that the following selected fields can cause conflicts if they're copied. We don't need a duplicate of the patient's first and last name, so the program is warning us that this can cause conflicts. We can continue anyway. In this case, we want to cancel. You also have a Tab Order button. This button will allow the sheet designer to define the order followed when a user fills out forms and uses the Tab button to advance through the sheet. Once the Tab Order button is clicked, the window will switch to a special Tab Order mode. You can see here with the number at the top. Click on each field to assign its tab order. To remove a tab order, click on the field again, and it will change to 0. To exit Tab Order mode, click Tab Order again. The Tips button will display supported shortcuts and hotkeys. The Delete button, this is a big caution. You will only use the Delete button to delete the entire sheet. If you want to delete a specific element, you'll need to select the element first instead, and then you can click Delete on your keyboard to delete off that element. Note that before a selected element will be deleted, Open Dental will warn you first in case you pressed the delete button accidentally. Once you're done with your form, simply click OK to save that form. You can always come back into it later to finish customizing it by coming back to Setup in Sheets and double-clicking into the form. If you have existing forms you would like to convert to Sheets, but do not have the time or expertise to set them up, we do offer design services. For this service, please call Open Dental for inquiries at 503-363-5432 or submit a custom request form, which can be found on our fees page titled Web Form Design Services, or by clicking the link below this video.
Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. If you have any additional questions, please contact our support line at 503-363-5432 or access our complete online manual at opendental.com. And make sure you're staying up to date with our latest training videos by subscribing to our channel and turning on notifications.